I wrote the song Waiting a couple of years after one of the darkest seasons of my life. I was working at a church at the time, and I remember struggling with some of the darkest depression that I had ever dealt with before. I thought about suicide on a pretty regular basis. I remember going home most nights and just drinking until I fell asleep. For more than 25 years, I had allowed this fear to impact and infiltrate every aspect of my life and control almost every single decision that I had made. I think it's so easy to say God will never give us more than we can handle. And then we get in situations like that and think, I can't handle this. This isn't anything I can't deal with this anymore. And I think so often in the church, we just find it easier to hide these situations of our life. We find it easier not to talk about them and to bottle them up. Because we know if people knew, they would view us differently. They would ask questions. They would make their own opinions about us. And that's what I thought for about 25 years, a little over that. I had this little voice in my head that kept saying, if you're ever honest, if you're ever transparent, people are going to use that against you. You'll never work in a church again. You'll never be able to continue on in your calling. And that controlled every aspect of my life for, like I said, probably 25, 26 years. And I just got to this point where I realized all of those fears were what was holding me back. It wasn't so much those things that I was hiding that were going to ruin me. It was the things that I was bottling up and how that was destroying me to the point where I questioned whether or not I wanted to continue on in my faith, in ministry, and even with life. I have struggled with same-sex attraction since I can remember. And for the longest time, I allowed that to be what defined me. That's what my label was. And I just realized that, we all have these labels, and some of them are good and some of them aren't. But we should really be focusing in that we're all created as sons and daughters of God. Every other label doesn't matter at the end of the day. And so I just began this journey of allowing God to just remind me who I truly am. And even though I might struggle, that those struggles aren't what define me. It's the things I believe in. I don't believe that the lifestyle of being gay is biblical, or is something that we were created to be in. I believe that God has so many more plans for us and for our lives. And limiting ourselves to an earthly label is just kind of ridiculous. Ever since I gave all of this over to God, He's just been teaching me so many lessons just reminding me who and what I truly am. And he just placed this calling in my heart, reminding me what I came from, what I dealt with and struggled with, just all the questions. And just showed me some people that were dealing with the same thing and had the same kind of story. And I realized how many people are struggling with something that they question either their faith or their own life over. And I don't want to be one of those people that allows a fear to control something that could potentially help someone else. I had a pastor share this passage one Sunday not that long ago. It's from Romans 14:4, and it just says, "Do you have any business crossing people off the guest list or interfering with God's welcome? If there are corrections to be made or manners to be learned, God can handle that without your help." There's so many things that people are struggling with, and the church should be the first place that they turn to. I think so many times it's the opposite of that. I think God has called us all to love and to care for and not to fix, because we have enough trouble doing that with ourselves. Honestly, we have enough trouble trying to love ourselves. So I wrote this song knowing what direction of life it was going to take me down, being terrified, and yet being really excited for what could possibly happen. I think there are so many people in my situation, or so many people that can just relate to fear and to hiding things. And I think that's the one thing that Satan wants to use, is fear. And I'm tired of letting that happen. So as difficult as this was to make, I hope that it reaches somebody exactly where they need to be. There's so much more to life. There's so much more out there for you. And it's a journey. And I think we need to be surrounded by people who love and care for us. I know I was. And I don't know where I would be at without those people. So if you have any questions, I know this is going to throw a lot of people off, but reach out. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear all your questions. Share this, because I guarantee there's somebody in their life that is in the situation I was several years ago. And hopefully this is exactly what they need, to just be reminded that they're not alone. So I'm so grateful for all of you, for all the prayers from people who know me, and I'm really excited to see what this next stage of life holds for me.